going to talk today about tribe, something that I've been working with and working on and experiencing firsthand for over a decade now, and in various forms before that. The way I want to start out with this discussion is talking a little bit about purpose and the pitfalls that I wish someone had told me were probably going to hem me up or jam me up at some point back when we got this whole thing started. So I'm going to try and share a little bit of the knowledge and experience that I've got on this topic from a long time of doing it, and see if I can't help you avoid some of the issues that I've run into along the way. First and foremost, we have to talk about the idea of purpose. Every tribal structure has to have a function. If you don't know what that is from the outset, that can be okay, because a lot of the idea behind why do you want to be a part of a tribe or why do you want to be part of a peer group is pretty obvious from a lot of people. The idea of pressure, confrontability, and strength, these are things that come from good tribe, strong tribe. And so we can look to those ideas as guiding points by saying, I'm interested in a peer group that will confront me and that is confrontable, that will pressure itself and pressure its members in order to become better versions of themselves, and also that obviously any group of people is stronger together than they are by themselves, depending on the quality of those people. So, stronger physically, certainly, especially with the pressure, but more able to deal with physical threat, more able to deal with financial threat and financial issues, as well as have a lot more leverage in the world by pooling resources. So a lot of these ideas are pretty basic and easy to understand, so I don't think we're going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the purpose of tribe. Jack Donovan's written plenty about that. Guys like Justin Garcia have said plenty about that, of why we need pressure and all these sort of things. So the idea, though, is that as you begin to develop as a tribe, it becomes more important to understand your place, sort of, and understand what it is that your tribe is about. What sort of culture are you producing? So it's a worthwhile question to consider at the beginning, but oftentimes it can be reconsidered and thought about during the actual process of experiencing, which is sort of the first thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to pitfalls, is that oftentimes we get stuck in talking about stuff and not doing them. We get stuck in theorizing and not experiencing. And so I want to talk about that as the first problem when it comes to the beginning and starting a new thing and starting a tribe, is that we often will get caught up in talking about a hypothetical situation and sort of burning bridges a long time before we cross them. So avoiding talking about stuff too much is a good thing, and avoiding theorizing about things that are hypotheticals that you can't really know until you're actually experiencing them can be very helpful at the beginning, is to be very, very much motivated by action over discussion. That's not to say that discussion doesn't have its place, but getting wrapped up into these big ad nauseum talks about things that are still sort of in potentia is a mistake. I talked about this in an essay that I have called Stop Worrying and Start the World, which is in my book, which you can get on Amazon or on my website. But I want to use these videos as sort of a way to expand on some of these ideas. A lot of times talking and theorizing about something too much leads to sort of quitting before you begin, or what I call artificial defeat. And that's that you talk yourself so far into an idea's future that it begins to seem sort of pointless, or you think yourself out of doing it by sort of getting trapped in future events that may or may not occur. And I see this happen with a lot of people for a lot of different reasons in their training and in their lives. It's sort of like psyching yourself out by just going too far. It's better to live in the moment and to have, absolutely have plans, but not to dwell too much in the future, because it's just an unknowable. So getting stuck in those things, in all those different areas of sort of too much talk and not enough action, is definitely something that is a good idea to stay away from. Another thing that I wish that I had been told right from the beginning is that you don't want to start too big. You don't want to start with too many members, and this is something that is going to carry you really well through your organization's future, is that the bigger it is, the less certain everything becomes. There's more personalities to deal with, there are more people to rely on, your trust gets spread over a bigger area, and a lot of these things lead to mistakes and lead to problems down the road, because you've sort of opened the borders, if you will, and you've made your tribe's borders too open. So this idea of starting tight and staying tight has served us really well in our organization. You know, we've been around for over 10 years, and our group is still very small because we make the process of joining incredibly difficult. The joke within our group is that becoming a wolf is pretty much impossible. It's very difficult to even get invited to one of our events, let alone be invited to prospect. And then after the prospecting phase, you know, which is at least a year's time, so it's very difficult to become a member of our organization. And so even though for over 10 years, you know, we've been wearing back patches, bare knuckle boxing, doing ritual, and doing all these things sort of that we're known for today, we've always stayed tight and kept it tight over the years, and this has led to very little internal drama, internal disputes. You know, our group is still going and going strong because we've kept things tight, and it also allows you to prioritize your emotional connection to people and sort of like the amount of fucks that you give. You know, I always say, like, I have a finite amount of fucks in my pocket, and so I can't just throw them around everywhere. You know, it would be nice to be able to care about, you know, all these people, and Jack's written a lot about this too, but that we have to keep the amount of people that we care about small in order to be more effective. If we care about everybody all the time, there's not a lot that we can do for them, and we can't be very effective, and we certainly can't be effective on a tribal level unless the fucks that we give are small and are spread out over a very small amount of area. We're going to be able to be very effective and very helpful to those people within our circle. So we do a disservice to the people within our circle by spreading our concerns far and wide. We have to keep it tight. One of the other things, and sort of where we're going to wrap up here, and we'll spread this over a number of different videos, is that at the outset of things, especially when starting with people who are close to you, there is a desire to lack hierarchy and not to ask too much from people. This is also a mistake because it will set you up for a lifetime of mediocre expectations out of your organization. It is best to start off with a hierarchy and maintain that hierarchy, because hierarchy is the way shit gets done. It's the way communication happens effectively, and it's the way that everything winds up getting greased and getting done and keeping the machine moving. And so every organism, you know, has centers that send information down the chain in order to make us functional organisms. So we have to think about this tribally as well. And the idea of asking too little from membership is not good. You know, somebody told me a quote the other day where it was something like, hey, don't limit me and what I want to do in my life with your mediocre and shitty view of reality and the way the world works. We want to ask a lot from ourselves because we are going to ask a lot from each other. If you find yourself constantly giving more and being more of an asset to your group of peers than the other people that are in it, what that means is you are giving out and not being reciprocated. So we have to ask a lot of the people who are going to be in these groups, because we don't want to set ourselves up for an existence as a mediocre organization. The stronger the individuals that are within the organization means the more that can be asked from them, which means more glory and sort of a bigger legend for your tribe. So in the next few videos of this, we'll get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of day-to-day, of how to assemble and get started with building that tribal structure and sort of the best ways to go about all that. So I hope you guys find these informative, and as always, check out the website operationwerewolf.com for more articles, books, gear, and all that sort of stuff.